Today, the President of the United States released his birth certificate to the American public. Now, I had no doubt that the President of the United States was born in America. I question where his ideas come from. I wish he would address the American people on jobs, on Libya, on the rising cost of health care and fuel. I wish he'd address us on immigration. I also wish he'd do something about these issues. This administration's incompetence, their lack of judgment, and their lack of clarity has made Americans even more skeptical of their government and has not produced results Americans expect from that government. Now, the birther issue was discussed briefly after the 2008 election. It was discussed again recently in interviews and speeches made by Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, frankly, has nothing else to talk about. Anybody who disagrees with Donald Trump is dumb. The truth is that ignorance is in the eye of the beholder. Donald Trump is a liberal. He takes a very different view than I do. And I have read the article written by the president of the Conservative Club for Growth. Now, the Club for Growth, I agree with them on some things. I disagree with them on others. I agree with some of their assessments. I disagree with other assessments. I think that their principles, for the most part, I agree with most of the things they stand for. Low taxes, less government, free trade. These are things that I believe in and they believe in, and I give them tremendous credit for that. The Club for Growth produced, in my opinion, one of the best senators we have right now, probably the best senator we have, Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania. So I think they have a tremendous amount of credibility. I can't say I agree with them on everything, but I do on a lot. And they stated, and I read, and and they really opened my eyes to this. Donald Trump supports socialized medicine. We all know that Obamacare is going to raise the cost of health care. It is going to cost taxpayers $1 trillion over the next decade. Takes away the rights of states. But socialized medicine, the technical definition, well, what I see as the technical, when I think of socialized medicine, I think of naturally universal coverage, a single payer plan, which Donald Trump embraced. Donald Trump wants to start a trade war with China. He wants to put a 25% tariff on all goods. Americans are having a tough enough time making ends meet, going to the grocery market. Food prices are up, fuel prices are up, and obviously we don't get our fuel from China, but some of our food we do get. Clothing we get from there. We get plenty of products from there that would raise the cost of living in the American people in an era where the Obama health care plan is already going to raise the cost of living in the American public. Donald Trump is out of touch with the American public. He wants to start a trade war. America must be competitive. We must be a country that doesn't overtax, doesn't overspend, doesn't overborrow, and doesn't overregulate. But apparently Donald Trump believes that the policies of protectionism, which have been tried and have failed in the past, hence the Great Depression, would work now. Now maybe Trump has been too busy buying a toupee over the past 2 decades. Maybe he's been too busy trying to keep his companies at a bankruptcy to keep his own wallet filled to notice what really is happening. And what's happening is we are not being competitive with China. We must be more competitive with China, whether it be through tax policy, reforming healthcare to lower the cost there, through finding ways to reduce the cost of living by allowing the free market to do so. And rather than try to start a trade war with China, perhaps competing with them in a free trade economy, in a free market economy, from our perspective anyway, would be beneficial. If you like the way things are going, then maybe you haven't been awake either. But think about if things got even worse. We can't afford that risk, and Donald Trump wants to take us in that direction. A trade war with China is not beneficial to the United States. We must be competitive with China. We must pay back our debt to China so that we don't owe them anymore. We can compete on our own through, like I said, lower the cost of living, create new jobs here, invest in new technologies through tax policy. These are all things that would benefit America. Donald Trump also believes that we should go back into Iraq and take over the oil. Now, this is coming from a guy who believes that the world would be a better place with Saddam Hussein in power. I know that the world is a better place without Saddam Hussein in power. I know that Saddam Hussein is a brutal dictator. I knew that by establishing a new government in Iraq, we now have an ally in the Middle East. And by weakening that alliance, we would do ourselves great danger. And I fear that would be a horrible mistake to make. What Trump is proposing is not realistic. It's not right for the country. Frankly, Mr. Trump doesn't understand foreign affairs. He doesn't understand the economy. He doesn't understand the issues that matter to us, the people. We have a massive deficit. Congress is fighting over how to reduce that deficit. I wish that they would find a way to cut the deficit in half or more in the next decade. Paul Ryan's plan comes pretty close. I hope Congress passes the plan because I think it is a step in the right direction. We need to really focus on cutting government spending without touching the defense budget. And we need to do so without also, this notion that somehow people rely on government programs. Well, people rely on government programs when times are bad. If we put forward pro-growth, free market policies, and more people were working, you wouldn't have to rely as much on government programs, and we would save money. Now, the president argued that by making investments, somehow this would grow the economy. But you can't make the investments by investing in government. You have to invest in tax policy through tax cuts to the private sector and to the individual to create jobs and help people make ends meet. These things will help get people off government programs. In the long run, that would reduce the deficit as well. It's my personal belief in supply side economics, whether it be whatever the tax policy, whether you implement the fair tax or you just cut taxes on individuals and businesses to create jobs, cut taxes on technology. These are all things I believe in. These are things that are proven to work, and we know that deficit spending is dangerous to the future financial security and economy of the United States.